If you want to hear the drop to this track, then you're just going to have to wait till the end. Or at least skip to the end. But if you want to find out how I made this track using this, and what this device is, and why I think you should make one too, then you're going to have to watch the bit in between. Let's get to it. This is a noise box. If you're not familiar with these and you're not sure what a noise box is, I mean, okay, it's fairly obvious from the name. It is a box that generates noise. These are especially good for creating sounds and sound effects for horror films and anything where you need some suspenseful music or sound effects, really. I don't know where these originated, but there's a plethora of these you can see on YouTube. I'm sure they're on other places like Instagram and Etsy and wherever else. They seem to have become almost a bit of a rite of passage for sort of producers and sound designers. And I think the really good thing about them is that they tend to be DIY. They are easy to construct, or they can be easy to construct. You can make them as complicated as you want to, really, but they can be very simple to make. They're relatively inexpensive. You can repurpose things that you already have lying around, you know, springs and a nut and a bolt. Anything that you need to buy, any hardware, can be bought fairly inexpensively from a hardware store. The boxes themselves, I've made this one, but you could very easily just go on eBay or something and buy a second-hand box. Maybe have a look in your local, you know, charity shop, thrift store, that kind of thing. Or just, you know, see what you've got lying around your own home. Obviously, this one has already been made, so I'm not going to show you the process of building this. I didn't film any of that, unfortunately. So we're just going to talk about it a little bit, and then we'll make some sounds with it, maybe even make some music. Before I get to all this gubbins on the front, I'm just going to turn this over because I've included some electronics in this. Now, when I was doing this, I was very new to electronics, more so than I am now, and I'm still very much a novice. So I included a PT2399 sort of echo reverb unit, which is this doodad here. I don't want you to look too closely because my soldering... I made a bit of a mess of this, and somehow, amazingly, it's still working. I'm surprised I didn't kill it. So that's like a little delay effect, and I can send or route audio through that. This here is two LM386 amplifier boards, and they, let me just pop that in there. So they will give us a bit of a gain boost, a bit of a distorted signal, and again I can route audio through there. I have some pickups that were from a kit guitar that I bought, and they were pretty, I guess these are fairly cheap and probably not very good quality. These don't seem to pick up the signal as well as I'd hoped, so I tend not to use those. The main thing that I use to capture the sound that's created by this box is this piezo contact mic here. I may add some more contact mics at some point in the future, but at the moment I just use this one and it picks up most sounds fairly well. But yeah, that's what's going on inside. And then I've got two little housings here for the 9-volt batteries. So I can plug these in to power, and you can probably see the lights come on, to power these units. And when the back is on, I'll reattach this in a moment. I've made a little sliding mechanism. Hang on, that's not right. There we go, that's better. So a little sliding mechanism. It's kind of slightly sort of, these edges are beveled, so it's a bit like a sliding dovetail. That slides in, and I can access the 9-volt batteries when the back of this is attached. So yeah, off camera I'm going to reattach this, and then we'll flip it over and we'll talk about the top and the actual noise generators of this thing. Okay, so I've put the back on, I flipped this back over. I managed to break a bit of this in the process, so I've just had to repair that quickly. Yeah, so let's talk a bit about the different ways there are to generate noise with this thing. Now, for the most part, I tend to use the contact mic. So I know that that's somewhere in this kind of area on the underside of the lid. And it's pretty good at picking up any sound from pretty much anywhere on this box. So if I tap here, you should be able to hear that. I mean, it picks up pretty much everywhere. It's quite sensitive, and it does give us quite a lot of options. It just in terms of sort of percussion, just making sounds that way. However, we also have, and these are quite ubiquitous on noise boxes, is, you know, these springs. They're just suspended between these brackets, and I've got some nuts and bolts just clamping those in. And these are really good for these kind of eerie sounds, very kind of reminiscent of what you hear in a lot of modern horror films. Great for kind of scraping across these. Oops, quite difficult to do. They can make some very interesting sounds. I may try and put some more springs on at some point. Now, I actually got these springs from an old coffee maker, a French press, as did a lot of the other parts. So these parts here are also from a French press. I seem to have a knack of breaking those things, so I've got quite a few, and I've tended to hang on to the parts. So they can make quite a nice sound. This is also from a French press. This was the part that I just broke recently. But if I unscrew this, I mean, this can make quite a nice sort of noise, just screwing and unscrewing that. But also, it gives me a little kind of beater. So that's quite useful. And, you know, this is the great thing about these devices. They're perfect for sort of repurposing stuff that you have lying around anyway, which makes them cheap. It makes them completely kind of customizable. And, you know, it's a lot of fun to kind of just experiment with. And it also means that you don't really have to be an accomplished musician to have some fun with this and to make some noise. Apart from the springs and these kind of attachments, oh yeah, also I've got like a bolt sort of locking mechanism here. Also, we have some guitar strings here, which I've sort of just 3 of them. Now, the guitar string, the hardware for the guitar strings, I've kind of made all of this. So we've got some sort of shelf brackets here. We've got some pieces of metal that I've found from somewhere. Drilled a few holes in here. I've got some nuts and bolts and some springs, so I can actually sort of change the tension on this part. So this is essentially the bridge. And then I have a saddle here made of bone, which is literally the bone I took out of a lamb shank that I ate recently. Very tasty it was too. And the other side, we've just got a nut and a bolt, some rusty old nut and bolt that I've found from somewhere. And then on this side, I've kind of attached the strings using one of these electrical connectors. They're very cheap to buy in a hardware store. Probably not ideal, but ideally I would have used some guitar tuners, but I didn't have any spare, so but it does the job. Now the good thing is these sort of saddles are actually movable, so even though this isn't tuned and it's not really tunable as such, but we can change the pitch by moving these saddles around. So that can be a lot of fun. These things really come alive when you add effects, delay and reverb in particular. So let me add some delay, and I may use the built-in delay circuit. It's nice to have a built-in effect in the device, but you know, you can always just add some a guitar pedal or any other effects, or if you're recording into a DAW, you can add effects after the fact. I often do that as well on top of what I'm doing here. But yeah, let's add some effects into the chain and then we'll make some noises. Right, so I have now patched this in to the delay so that we should be getting a delay signal on any sound that we make. And I may even add some reverb in post-production. If I do that, I'll put that up on screen. But yeah, with this delay, I can only affect the delay time. It is possible to sort of wire in a second potentiometer to affect the feedback amount, but I haven't done that here. But just from adjusting the delay time gives us a lot of different effects. Really brings these kind of noise boxes to life, having delay and reverb in particular. So let's give this a go. Okay, so it's the next day, and you may be able to see that I've made some modifications to this thing. I've added some metal tines, which are in fact old tent pegs, and they make rather an interesting sort of resonant tone. And it sounds crap. Why does it sound crap? What I'd like to do now is I'd like to make some music. Now, with most of the noise box videos I've seen out there, people generally tend to make suspenseful, kind of eerie, horror movie-esque kind of soundscapes, or they do like sort of ambient kind of jams, and maybe just like a pure sort of noise, you know, like a noise jam. All of which are great and fine, and you know, these devices are perfect for that. But I think that they are more versatile, and if you're prepared to do a little bit of post-processing, they can actually be really useful for more standard music production and, you know, actual songs, if you like. And we're going to use this today for making some jungle drum and bass style stuff. So I've already recorded in with these tines and done a bit of processing to create a bass line. So let's have a quick look at that. Let's zoom in a little bit. So essentially this is the bass line. Let's just have a very quick listen. That's the bass line. There's quite a lot of processing on these channels. So if I just grab one of these and drag it onto a channel that doesn't have any processing on it, let's come back down here. Let me just play this. So you can hear that's just what I was playing a minute ago, more or less. But with some processing, we can turn that into quite a cool sounding bass line. We'll listen to this in context of a full track in a minute, but what I'd like to do now is actually record in some more stuff, a little bit more atmospheric stuff, to add an intro to this track and maybe some additional bits and pieces to the main part of the song. So let's do that. I want to do some stuff with the guitar strings, but I'm also going to do a little bit of just weird ambient percussion stuff. So let's do the weird ambient stuff first. Okay. What I'm going to do is jump over to a different track and we're going to record in the strings. So let's do that now. Okay, hang on, I'm going to do that again because we're getting a significant bit of latency there, which is throwing me off playing it. I'm not very good at playing in time anyway, so I definitely don't need the latency as well. Okay, let's give that another go. Still, why is it still giving me latency? I don't know. I'm just going to try again. We'll just have to try and make it work. I'm going to do a little bit of editing and we'll work this into the track. Okay, first things first, let's add some reverb and delay, I think. Let's go, hang on, let's turn this to stereo. Let's add some minimal
Cluster delay. That's cool. Maybe make it a little bit darker. Just control the low end a little bit. I think that's kind of cool for that. What I might do, actually, that's a nice sound there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bounce that in place. And we're going to reverse this, and we're going to use this to lead into a couple of parts. So let's reverse it. Do a bit of a fade. We'll do it leading into where the break comes in. Yeah, and then maybe here as well. That's cool. Right, now let's come to our guitar. We're going to have to do some work with this. So let's try and get this in time for starters. We're going to have to chop this about a little bit, but no worry. Let's put slicing on. Let's just move these around a little bit. Try and get these in time. I do quite like it when we have a bit of off the grid stuff and it's a bit of push and pull, but just for the sake of this, I think we'll just whack everything on the grid. It just makes it a bit easier. Let's do a couple more just so we've got a bit of variation. We could have this deliberately, intentionally sort of late. Just listening through to these, see if there's any I like in particular. I like this one because there's a little bend down at the end of this note, which is nice. Let's just roll with that. There we go. I'm probably going to do a little bit of EQ and some processing on there. Whoops. Okay. Alright, we'll stick some more cluster delay on here. Let's go vintage. Dub haze, I don't know, let's try that. It's kind of cool. Now what I want to do is, let's grab all of these, let's chuck those into the drop area. Take the first note. So what we'll do, we'll repeat that over the first note 3 times. I don't like that one. There's not much attack on the last 2 notes. What does this sound like? I think this one is a delayed bit. Oh no, that's cool. So let's just copy this over, and I think the last time round we'll change it and we'll use this bit here. Oop, there, like that. So let's just have a listen to this last go round. That's cool, right. Let's do a bit of automation. Let's put some EQ on here. Right, let's go to latch. Here we go. think that might sound quite good. So let's just give it a run through. We're not going to produce a whole track. We'll just get a vibe going, and I'll leave the rest to your imagination. Okay, so I couldn't resist. I did a little bit of processing, not much, just a little bit of polishing, just to tidy it up somewhat. So let's have a listen now to this noise box and what it sounds like with a little bit of Junglist treatment. Okay, well there we go. That is my noise box, and hopefully I've demonstrated that you can use it for more than just horror film scoring and sort of ambient noise stuff. Hopefully you'll agree that that works quite well in a D&B kind of jungle track, and I'm sure it could be used in many other genres. I'm sure, you know, if you're prepared to do a little bit of post-processing, it can be used in many different scenarios, and it's a lot of fun to build this and customize it to your own tastes. You know, like I say, it's so inexpensive to do. You can just repurpose whatever you've got lying around, or you know, whatever you can pick up off the street, and you know, away you go. Whack in a couple of contact mics, and you know, you don't even really need to do any electronics, because you can buy the piezo contact mics with an output jack already soldered on. The entry level of skill required to make one of these and play one of these is very low, and it's a lot of fun. So if you're interested in this kind of thing and you've not made yourself a DIY noise box, I highly recommend you trying that out, giving it a go, and see what fun sounds you can make with this and the interesting applications you can use it for. So yeah, with that I will leave you to go and enjoy your day, and I will see you again soon. Peace out.